Good evening, everyone. This is the Lakers Fast Break Nightcap with Joe Soro. Thank you for being here tonight. It's a little unfortunate that we have to uh, speak about what's happened since this morning. Laker great, Laker great, and NBA great Jerry West passed away this morning, comfortably at home with his wife at his side at the age of 86. And it's been kind of a cloudy day. It was even cloudy most of the morning. Thank you, Blue. Appreciate it. And it did clear up a little bit. And I remember reading something about the day looking very similar to when Kobe passed. And while that might be the truth, it's probably not that. I think around June in Southern California, for those of you who don't know or have been in Southern California or been here a lot, June is known as June gloom here. The overcast is synonymous here until the marine layer is burned off by the sun, and then you get your blue skies and your bright sun. So, nonetheless, it's been a sad day for Laker fans. I know Jerry West was working with the Clippers at the time. They actually came out with the report first that Jerry had passed away. I found out from our esteemed colleague Nick Molina in an email. I actually was awake most of the morning, but I hadn't turned anything on to see what was going on, and saw "Rest in Peace, Jerry," and I didn't know which Jerry he was talking about. So I, of course, put on ESPN.com, and then boom, there it was. So it's been a very very depressing day, if there was a word to say. And we're gonna talk a little bit about Jerry West and his importance not only to the Lakers but also to the NBA. I think his importance is likely not spoken a lot, and this tends to be the habit of most things when people pass away. Is you start remembering and you start appreciating more and more of that person because they're gone. I don't think we were doing that with Jerry. I think we've given Jerry as a collective his credit year in and year out, and we never forgot that, and it made it a little easier for us to do that because we did have an issue with management and ownership with Jerry. There was a little bit of a rift there, some bad blood, things like them taking away Jerry's season tickets, the way they tried to tell him how to, that they were going to revoke his tickets. I think they I don't want to make this a Laker bashing hour, but we're going to have to talk about what is. And it's unfortunate that this had to be how it ended with the Lakers, where not only were they not in tight circles, let's say, but they even had an even more pathetic send-off with probably one of the more generic, useless, pathetic remembrances. And I'm not even going to read it because I don't want to. I'm trying not to curse on the show a little bit. I've noticed since we stopped cursing the last week or so, programming has gotten a little bit more momentum with subscribers and people watching the show. So Jerry West, let's talk about the good things. The hell with the Lakers for right now in terms of the current situation. Let's talk about what Jerry West built. This is a gentleman who was drafted in 1960 out of West Virginia and was a star for 14 seasons. And he went to the finals 9 times, won once, played the Celtics 7 times, and lost all 7 times. Played the Knicks twice. Actually, played the Knicks 3 times, lost 2 and won 1. Jerry West never really got out of those losses. All those losses were tormenting to him, and he had already started some torment even before all those games came to fruition. He lost a brother in Korea, which I believe might have started his depression issues. I don't know what his home life was. I know we saw some footage of things that went on in the show Winning Time. I don't know if that stuff was true. I'm going to assume it wasn't, so I'm not going to go by that. But I do know that he has spoken about how his brother's death affected him, and those losses, being as competitive as he was, as hard as he hit, as hard as he played, from what I've read and what I've little tidbits of what I've seen on film, I can't really make a true assessment on Jerry West, the player, because I was really not around to see it with my own eyes live, being in the moment, being nervous, being tense in those moments. But it didn't, from a record standpoint, you would think that, this is a gentleman that couldn't really win. He could be the Atlanta Braves of the 90s or the Buffalo Bills. But then again, the Buffalo Bills didn't win anything. At least the Braves won one. Maybe the current Dodger team, where they've won only one in the last decade, even though they should have more. But at the same time, if you really look at those teams at that time, the Boston Celtics were pretty stacked, whereas the Lakers were really a two-man team. And sometimes it's just you have certain players that just can win those type of games, and Bill Russell was his adversary. And no one's going to really say anything negative on that. It's just what it was and how the luck kind of went. But what we do know, at least what I know, and I know that Gerald knows, is that we know how good Jerry West was as an executive. He did have a short stint as a coach. Again, I don't know if Winning Time portrayed his coaching aura well there. I don't know if it was exaggerated, but I do know that in the little short history of his coaching career, he was able to do some things, led the Lakers to the Western Conference Finals in 1977. They lost to Portland, and which was probably the second best Portland team that happened to win a championship that year. The Portland team was actually better the following year until Bill Walton got hurt. But he had a stint there, but he was still an integral part in probably helping them acquire Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I know Bill Sharman was working together with Jerry in those areas. That's not debated. And then, of course, what eventually came about in 1979 when Jerry Buss bought the team from Jack Kent Cooke. And then they went on to draft Magic Johnson and create the dynasty that was in the 1980s. So we look back at that with Jerry, and I still was a little young to really embrace that 80s team. I didn't really get to Laker focus until probably 1991. Actually, not probably. I mean, I did watch in 90 and 89, but I wasn't invested. I wasn't old enough to really know how to invest myself in it. 1991, the Lakers went to the finals and faced the Bulls. That was the first year I can remember to this day that I was invested, and I've been invested ever since. So you had Jerry West, who was a Hall of Fame player, who became the logo, who was one of the best guards of his time, if not best basketball player, arguably, of his time. You had him transition into a head coach, which wasn't a bad stint. He wasn't at his best there, but had a pretty decent run there. But he knew that his best attributes weren't there. And then became an executive, and then eventually became a GM, eventually became a VP of operations. And after 1991, of course, we all know Magic Johnson got sick and therefore had to retire. And now Jerry West had a new, opportunity to see what he could do next. And where most of us, Gerald, me, Sean, where we really were involved and invested was 1996. And in my estimation, 1996 is what made Jerry West, in my book, the greatest NBA executive in the history of the NBA. He acquired Shaquille O'Neal at a time where the NBA was in a transitionary period paying players. That was right around the same time when contracts were starting to get really, really big. And he was able to get Shaquille to commit because he could see ahead. So a little correlation with what happened here in the last few days with Coach Dan Hurley. Shaq wanted, I think, $100 million. Actually, no, he wanted more. But I think there was some discussion that he was going to probably settle for 90 to 100, and I think Orlando was hinting at they might have 90 million for him. But Jerry went in all the way. Jerry Buss knew how to do this too. Jerry Buss was a PhD in chemistry. He was half a genius. A lot of people don't know that, and he could see things ahead. On top of that, so you have Jerry Buss, who was a mathematical business wizard, and understood people. And then you have Jerry West, who understood basketball, understood people, understood how to communicate to people. With that, you had the perfect acquisition at that time, which was Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is offered $121 million. Shaq wanted more, but Jerry West, being the honest man that he was, he said, Shaq, I can't get you anymore. This is the most I can get you. But I got some things brewing here. I'm going to be getting you someone in the draft that no one's heard about while Shaq is signing the contract, of course. And Shaq probably doesn't care at that point. He just wants to sign the $121 million contract and goes, hey, I got something building here for you, and you're gonna like it. So Kobe Bryant in the draft is acquired for Vlade Divac. And in that same draft, of course, don't forget Derek Fisher is their actual first-round pick that they had, and they built their next dynasty in within those months and maybe basically 4 to 6 weeks. What's up, Eric? How you doing, bud? And that, to me, again, from what the result was in terms of talent, was in my book the best. It put him on top. I don't think there's anybody that could touch him. And in that process, he ended up getting Rick Fox. Rick Fox was offered, I believe at the time, 5 years, $20 million to go to Cleveland when he was a free agent when he was in Boston, and decided to take the minimum for a few years. And then Dr. Buss rewarded him after that because he wanted to win. He wanted to go to LA and be around, the glitz and glamour, because that was kind of his secondary hope in his career. We were able to get Robert Horry for Cedric Ceballos after he decided that he wanted to go to Lake Havasu instead of come play for the Lakers. And then the next big step, of course, was Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson was able to bring in the Horace Grants, the Ron Harpers, and those type of players that were integral parts of the three-peat run. So Jerry West, from 1960 to 2001, so you're talking 42 years, was everything that this team, he's tied to it in every way. He's tied to 16 championships. The work he did, the legend that he created, the acquisitions, the coaches and the executives that were branched from him, Pat Riley being another one. Mike Dunleavy, in the short amount of time he was in LA, he became an executive as well. He had good mentorship, obviously, and worked well with the Bill Sharmans, who was a savant as well. Mitch Kupchak had a very good career as well, being under Jerry West. And we all saw what Jerry West did for Memphis when he was there. We saw what Jerry West did in Golden State, and we were seeing what we was doing with the Clippers here. Jerry West, in my book, there's no doubt is the greatest executive in the history of the NBA, and there is a serious argument that he could be the greatest executive in North American sports history. I don't know what it is in Europe with the Premier, the soccer over there, rugby, whatever sports that they play out there that's popular. I know that I believe in North America that Jerry West, when it's all said and done, is the greatest executive I've ever seen in any sport. All four of the major sports that I've seen. And what a way to go out. What a way to go out. He lived a fabulous life. This should be a celebration. It's a celebration. 86 years. The man did more in 86 years than I think 100 people can do in 10 years. I'm sorry, in 1,000 years. So should be a celebration. It's sad because we didn't, death does that, but 86 years is a heck of a run. The way he went out was amazing. Being in his own home, having his wife with him, I'm sure his kids were there as well, and checking out comfortably and easy from what we know. Again, we salute you, Jerry West. We salute the family. And thank you for everything you've given us, because I don't know if the Lakers would be what they are without Jerry West. As a matter of fact, I don't see it. If the Lakers don't have Jerry West from 1960 to 2001, I don't believe the Lakers would be what they are today. Not even close. And all the credit, a lot of the credit, I should say, goes to him. Of course, Dr. Buss, of course, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy. There are a lot of people, but I believe that Jerry West, just because he was there even before Dr. Buss, I believe that he should have the top spot as the Laker legend. Now, we've talked about how Kobe's likely the number one player that's ever played in LA for the Lakers. Magic's in there as well. You have arguments with either or. I have them tied. I can't pick between Kobe and Magic. Magic was just as important as Kobe, and vice versa. But I think Jerry West was the most important Laker in the history of its existence, because he did it from all facets. He did it in every position. He did it before, during, after. He ate it. He slept it. He died for it. And I'm just happy I was able to be around this. I was able to benefit, at least from my adult viewing life, the last 33 years. I was able to watch teams he built, teams he mentored, teams he's identified. And we were able to watch, since 1991, we've been able to watch 9 finals appearances, 6 NBA championships, and a lot of amazing games. And a lot of those amazing games were coming from players like D. Fish, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Horace Grant, Ron Harper, all those guys I just named, Robert Horry, Rick Fox, all those guys that Jerry had a hand in getting, acquiring, signing, trading for, all had moments in games that are memorable. Memorable to the point where you never forget them if you're around. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a celebration of Jerry West's life, his accomplishments. And again, hats off to the family, to the West family. Hats off to everyone that's had the privilege of benefiting from what Jerry has done for the Lakers and the NBA. And it's a bittersweet day, but still a beautiful day in the end, because I think he lived to the fullest, and that's all you can ask for in the end. So the segue from that, unfortunately, I got to go somewhere where Jerry was tormented by, which was the one of the participants in this year's NBA Finals, which is the Boston Celtics. So the Boston Celtics have just taken a 3-0 lead. They beat the Mavericks 106-99 tonight. And it's looking like the Celtics are likely going to sweep or win in 5. I've watched all 3 games. There was really never any point in any of those games where I thought Dallas had a shot to win. I've seen enough games in my life to recognize that. Our initial assessment on what we thought could be a challenge to the Celtics in the East was Denver. And I'm going to stay on that, even though we'll never know. I believe Denver was probably the only team that could beat the Celtics. I think they would have had a really, really hard time playing against Jokic. They would have had no answer to Jokic. And I know that Denver struggled a little bit this year. They were kind of lackadaisical coming out the gate. There would have been a chance where Boston still could have beat them, but I think there would have been a better chance if the Boston Celtics had to deal with a Nikola Jokic. But we're never going to know. Minnesota, I believe, would have gotten waxed just as bad as Denver. As Dallas, because they pretty much play the same game. It's nothing but threes, and hope for shots to go in the paint. And then the occasional pick and roll or lob. It's the same routine. It's the same setup. The Celtics' ability to get open due to their ball movement is what makes them a step ahead. And then they play very good team defense with good individual defense. And they've been able to do it without Kristaps Porzingis, which looks like he's going to be done for the season, by the way. That's just, I mean, it was already kind of coming. I didn't think he was going to last more than a couple games anyways. Looked like he only lasted a couple games. So, but it's not going to matter. I think the Celtics are on a mission. The Celtics are going to get number 18 unless something drastic happens, like Jaylen Brown gets hurt for the series, or maybe Jason Tatum. But it is what it is, folks. The Lakers have a lot to do now. They have a lot to do. They're going to have to get on something here, and we've talked about this here the last few days. And I don't know what horse they're going to get on at this point. I really don't know. They haven't been able to take care of one of the big check marks off their board. They were close, but couldn't close. And couldn't close has been an issue for a while now. Yes, they closed on LeBron James. Yes, they were able to trade for Anthony Davis. But if you look at the history of the details on those two transactions, there's a few things missing now from that, particularly Magic Johnson being able to close it. Plus, there was some workings from agencies making sure those things happen. So I don't know how much credit you can give Jeannie and Rob in that. But again, it doesn't really matter. At this point, we're looking at the end of the season here, probably within the next few days. And then the Lakers are going to have to watch the Celtics go up one again in the title notch, which means the Lakers are going to have to win multiple championships to get past Boston. And that's if Boston doesn't win again. Now, it's going to be much harder for Boston to continue to have this particular team because some of these guys, when you win a championship, people want to get paid more. So you're going to see guys like Jason Tatum likely get the Supermax. I think the Celtics are going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay Tatum that. There's really no choice. You can't really lose him, but you're going to have two Supermax players that are going to be on one team. They're first and second. They're going to have to make a third apron to get through whatever they're going to get through. Drew Holiday, guys like Drew Holiday. I don't think Horford is going to be an issue. I think Horford can probably take less money being this late in his career. So he's a good, veteran player that probably will stay. But they're going to probably have to pay Derek White and Drew Holiday more money. And at this point, that's all they really need. So they could come back next year and be just as dominant, especially considering I'm not seeing really anything scary in the West other than the West beating each other up, and the East looks kind of at this point. I know there were a lot of injuries this year, but that seems to be the norm in the NBA these days. It's like, well, just get through the series by waiting for somebody to get injured. So yeah, it's a sad day because we lost the ultimate Laker, but it's also doubly sad that we're going to have to watch the Celtics put up 18 here in the next few months when the season starts. So if you all have any questions, if you guys need any information on the subjects at hand, please do so in the chat. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I believe I'm going to be solo here tonight. I know Gerald tends to come in at the last minute. Sean is still recovering from his ailments. Nick Molina, being the attorney that he is, has too much work to get on late to talk shop, and the rest of the cohorts obviously have their own schedules that are pretty busy. So I'm going to be here for another 35 minutes to answer any questions and hopefully entertain you as much as I can. When is the Lakers coach going to be hired? Well, Deep Purple, I would say to take an educated guess, I think they're going to probably hire a coach before the draft. I would like to think it's an important hire before the draft so that coach has some input in case they decide to keep the pick. I have been on here saying that I feel like there's a possibility that they're probably going to there's more likelihood that they're going to trade the pick than not. I might be wrong there. It's a total guess. I don't have any information on it. I don't have any insider reports on what that is. But I have a feeling that because this team needs to win and win now, I believe they're going to probably try to package that draft pick in some way. The only issue is at what cost? Are they going to give up the other 2 first-round picks with this year's first-round pick to go get a difference maker? Is Rui Hachimura going to be in that deal? Is Jared Vanderbilt going to be in that deal? Is Austin Reeves going to be in that deal? See, the problem with that is if you get rid of, let's say, a Rui Hachimura or an Austin Reeves, people that contributed this year and didn't do too bad, you're now eliminating depth more and more. This team would need to use whatever assets they have without getting rid of their depth. That would be key. I don't know if that's possible. It would salaries are not going to necessarily match. You'd have to possibly get something done with D'Angelo Russell if you wanted to go get somebody and do some kind of a sign and trade with a team that would want D'Angelo Russell. I don't know if there's a team out there that really wants a D'Angelo Russell that much to do a sign and trade, unless, of course, you gave them some draft capital. So there's a lot of scenarios that can come about on this. For me, you hire the coach, and the problem with the hiring of the coach, folks, is there's not going to be a good coach that they hire at this point. I don't believe they're going to hire the next coach that's going to be the captain for the next 5 to 6 years. I believe they're going to have to hire a coach where they're going to probably fire him as soon as LeBron retires. And it's sad commentary. Joe, who do you want as a coach now that Hurley's out? I don't think Jay Wright is a possibility. No, Jay Wright would be ultimately who I want. I've been wanting him since 2018. Unfortunately, I think he's long in the tooth. And on top of that, I don't think he'd want to be involved in this circus. It's unfortunate. They would have to go to Jay Wright and say, we'll give you $100 million for 5 years. If you did that and gave him full control over business, I should say full control. If you gave him majority control of talent acquisition, I believe that would be something that would probably coax him into coming. But the Lakers are not going to do that because I believe Jay Wright is smart enough to know that, if I'm going to be here for the next 5 years, let's do this. Let's start the rebuild now. So don't sign LeBron James to an extension. Let him play out his contract or opt out. Either way, you win. If he plays out one more year, you're done with him next year. And then the D'Angelo Russell desperation signing is what I'm calling, because you don't want to lose that asset. That becomes now a little bit easier to handle if he leaves for nothing. And then, of course, you got to convince Anthony Davis that he's going to have to tread water for a year until they can get into next year, so they have some money and some possible options to maybe get bigger talent and younger talent in, hopefully by players that want to come here. Yoha Buha says that the Lakers offer wasn't a low ball for rookie NBA coach. Okay, so I did read that through the what is it? Let me see here. So through the wire, I think this guy's. I'm seeing this guy's name more and more, and I think he's likely trying to be the positive in and around the Laker world, because he's probably getting more and more intimate with the Lakers. But this is not about low ball or high ball. This is about guaranteeing. And when you want to guarantee what you want, you got to go all in. And if they weren't crunching numbers and really understanding what would it take to bring this guy in. So think about this for a second, folks. If you are – look, Dan Hurley was contemplating it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have flown to L.A. to hear it out. He was generally interested. Well, if he was generally interested, that means he would have said yes to the right deal. But the Lakers couldn't do it. And I would have not wasted his time and just said, listen, Dan, we have 6 years, $70 million. Why did they bring him to L.A.? For what? You bring him to LA, you don't let him leave. Instead, he's out doing Billy Joel concerts and talking about compelling offers on the internet. Okay, they didn't close, and you should have known they didn't close just by those two instances. You're talking about a life-changing thing, right? You're talking about moving from UConn, from a winning organization, winning program, and you got to uproot your family. You fly him all the way over there for what? You just wasted money on flights, dinner, whatever it is that you stuffed down his throat and his pants to get him there. For what? So that you can give him some kind of offer that was like, that's what it was. You got to go all in. You got to say, listen, bud, we know you've got that culture-changing attitude. We know that you have more of that Pat Riley method and mentality than any of these schmucks that we're looking at now. So we're going to do this. We're going to give you a 5-year deal for $100 million. And if you reach the playoffs, or you reach the second round, or you reach the Western Conference Finals in year 2, we're going to bump that up another 3 years for another $60 million. Something like that. But they don't do that. They didn't do that. They LaMarcus Aldridge did. They Carmelo Anthony did. They Tobey Maguire did. They stay Dwighted. Who was the common denominator in most of these negotiations? The bus kids. So we can't sit here and blame Mitch Kupchak, Ryan West, Magic Johnson. We can blame maybe Rob Pelinka a little bit because he's a snake. But the common denominator is anytime you've had the Bus family in charge, these are the kind of closing deals you've had, or I should say unclosed deals. They couldn't even write a decent send-off for their legendary icon. That's how pathetic these guys are. And they've had bits and signs everywhere, folks. The signs have been there, whether it's outside the court, inside the court, around the court, whether it's a coach, whether it's a player, whether it's an executive, doesn't matter. You gotta go all in. All in means you're serious about the culture change. But they're not. They are doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result based off of something that happened 5 seasons ago. 24, 23, 22, 21, 20. 5 seasons ago. We got to stop thinking about 5 seasons ago. At this point right now, the Celtics are 1 game away from wiping that title away. In my book. That means we're still going to be 1 title away from now tying them again. When the Lakers had all the momentum to probably have 2, maybe 3 titles since then. But they couldn't because maybe they listened to the wrong people. Maybe they panicked. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. And in the end, I think that's all it is. They don't really know what they're doing. That's where we're at. And Boston winning, yes, Devotion. Boston winning is making it worse because I believe if they weren't going to win the title, I believe we would have been able to just say, okay, well, that was another year. We don't have to worry about a change. No, the change is coming here in a few days. The Boston Celtics are going to have 1 title more than the Lakers again. And the worst part about this is if they continue to make these smart transactions that they've been making, even through all these contracts and all this stuff going on, all the Jason Tatum is a choker and the Celtics can't win the big one. See, this is another thing that you have to give this team credit. They did not break under all the insults. They actually came back and dominated. And that is a championship team. The Celtics have earned it. Jason Tatum has earned it. You never saw Jason Tatum on TV throwing a camera. You never saw Jaylen Brown throwing stuff at a member. You never saw him do some kind of cryptic, stupid, cowardly tweet like we know some people do. We don't see any of that from those guys. Derek White being made fun of. they made fun of his hair. You didn't see him yapping and whining and going back and forth with Charles Barkley. You didn't see any of that. You don't even know if Brad Stevens is around. He's back there focusing on doing the work. You see Coach Mazzulla, how much just absolute devastation that guy got last year. The guy was thrown into the position because the previous coach was insubordinate. And people were destroying that guy like he was the worst thing that's ever existed in coaching. I'm like, it's a first year. He didn't come into that year coaching. Give the guy a break. Well, look what happened. You gave him another year. Look what he's done. And every time he does an interview, I'm telling you right now, if these guys were not wearing that jersey, I'd be rooting for them. They epitomize everything that you want in a team. A strong leader in management, a strong leader at the bench, calling the shots, calling the signals, and then you have players that know their role, know what they're good at, and can execute it. And a lot of you guys are talking about Drew Holiday and how the Milwaukee Bucks basically handed the Celtics a championship. There's some truth to that, right? But I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. I didn't see Drew Holiday playing this well in Milwaukee. So you got to give credit to Boston again. They put Drew Holiday in even better position and better positions to do what he's done. And he's played a huge part. He has been the X factor. Absolutely. Absolutely the X factor. Porzingis was supposed to be the big acquisition during their last offseason. And he was. He did his part. He even did his part in game one, right? But Drew Holiday, as Porzingis started to wind down, was the guy that covered him. And I think Boston knew that. They were smart enough to understand that. So, yes, you might be wondering why I'm complimenting the Celtics. Well, folks, it's hard not to compliment the Celtics because they did things right. Smart, right. Their intestinal fortitude, the players, the coaches, all ate what was coming at them, swallowed it, and crapped it out. And now they're going to crap out a Larry O'Brien trophy. So, Lakers Nation, we got a lot to sit and talk about here in the next few months. It's not going to be good either. Let's see here. Joe, if we blow it up, you're okay with us being a team with a losing record? Rebuilding doesn't always work out. Well, here's what I've discussed with Gerald in the last week or so about that. The Lakers do have Anthony Davis, and I'm not in the boat of removing him off the team. I would like LeBron to be gone. I would like LeBron to opt out and go somewhere, which is probably not going to happen. I would actually prefer to just tell LeBron, let's just play this contract out for next year. That's probably a more realistic thing. That's something you could control, because I don't think LeBron wants to not get paid the remaining $51 million on his last year contract. I would tell LeBron, pick up your contract and let's run one more year, and we'll do our best to put the best team available and then go from there. But they're going to sign him to an extension, and we're stuck with LeBron for the next 2 to 3 years. And the only way the Lakers are going to have any chance at being able to win a championship is they're going to have to pick the right coach, which is not out there at this moment. And you can't wait 2 more years to go find that guy because it'll be too late. You also have to bring in a third type player that's going to be a difference maker, someone that can make shots when you really need them to. Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell don't look like the guys that can do that. No, I think JJ is a bad fit, folks. If you're gonna pick a coach that's likely not going to be here in a couple of years, I'd rather go with someone that's been coaching the last few years, and hopefully someone that's not been an assistant for a decade, because that's not a good sign. That's like a college player playing 4 years of college ball. That's usually not a good sign that they're going to be next level type NBA players. There's exceptions. Don't get me wrong. Dame Lillard was one. Obviously, Tim Duncan was a great one. I'm talking recent memory, of course, because there was plenty of 4-year college guys back in the day. But I'm talking about since the high school to to the NBA renaissance, and then of course the one and done era. You're gonna need talent. You're gonna need talent, and you're gonna need young talent that you don't have to pay a lot of money to, which means you're gonna need to somehow find someone at the 17th pick that's gonna be a rotational player, which is gonna be very difficult. The other is how are you gonna decide who's going to be your mid-level exception player? Are you going to pick another Miami Heat dud, or are you going to pick someone that's actually going to make a difference? So right there, those two picks right there could make a difference if you have two rotational players in those spots and you control those spots. But at the same time, if they're looking for someone that can, be a third guy because they have no choice, then likely the 17th pick is going to be part of a package that goes out. I just don't know how there's going to be enough there to cover a salary. Let's say a third star or a third guy that's making $20 to $25 million. Are you going to be able to use draft picks? No, that's not going to be enough. You're going to need some kind of a miracle where they'll take D'Angelo Russell and maybe the contracts of Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt. But we're going to find out here soon enough. Again, as soon as the NBA finals are over, we're going to start seeing more and more theories on which direction the Lakers are going to go. Devotion, I'm not a Sam Cassell fan. I don't believe Sam Cassell is going to ever be a good coach. He's on the same path of Darvin Ham. So I wouldn't go. He's the one I was talking about that's been an assistant too long. I don't think he's going to be a good coach. Not a good head coach, anyways. JJ has interviewed with the Raptors, Hornets, and the Lakers. Yeah, I didn't even know he interviewed with the Raptors and the Hornets. If the Hornets won't hire him, then why would the Lakers? 3-year, 174 for LeBron. So 3 straight play-in tourney appearances and no titles. 42 and a half years old by the end of the contract. Sad times coming for the Laker Nation. What about Brett Brown? It's not his fault, and B was a loser. Oh my God, Brett! I can only imagine Brett Brown getting angry at LeBron and watching LeBron then fly away from practice and then putting some kind of a duck in his tweets. No, Brett Brown would anger LeBron within the first week, and that whole thing would turn into a disaster. Again, guys, there's 2 common denominators here. One is in the front office, and the other is on the court. The issues that are at hand are Jeannie Buss and LeBron James on the court. Until those 2 figure out a way to make this work, this is not going to work, and that's kind of where it's going. Why is Rob Pelinka still employed by the Lakers? Because he's tied to Kobe, which is mind-boggling to me. I'm still in astonishment on how Rob Pelinka and Kobe Bryant were tight. I'm surprised, and I've used some excuses for it. I don't know if it's true. But I feel maybe that when Kobe passed away, it was kind of like how a grandmother or a grandfather passes away from a prominent family, and the siblings end up kind of going back to who they really are, and when their matriarch or the patriarch was still around, they were kind of at bay. I think Rob Pelinka, this is who he really is, and I think he had it at bay when Kobe was alive. And that's kind of how I look at it. Rob gets away with hiding and never faces the public. Well, that's what his boss does. She hides away too. She hides away. She does videos about freaking dogs, like this basic garbage that YouTubers and influencers and TikTokers do. This is not a professional, folks. Come on. These aren't professionals. These guys are clowns. These guys are everyday schmucks. So, and I don't have anything against Jay Moore, but I mean, this looks like he's as beta as anybody can be, right? I have very little respect for beta men. That's a whole different discussion that I'm not going to get into. But I'm not going to get into these people's lives. I don't really care. Unfortunately, I have to see these videos because I'm trying to look at Laker information. All of a sudden, this stuff pops up on my feed, and I have to sit there and watch what I already know. Like this, just at this point, call the Guggenheims and get this thing done, or call AEG, and say, look, we're going to sell this team. Can you bid this much money? Okay, if you can't, I'll go talk to the Guggenheims. Let's get somebody in here that knows how to run a team. But I think there's going to have to be a lot of losing for that to happen. There's going to be a lot of stress that's going to have to come at Jeannie for her to finally sell. Because I don't think anybody else will take over unless Joey and Jesse. Would Joey and Jesse be the owners if Jeannie decides that she doesn't want to do this? I don't know if you guys have seen Joey and Jesse, and I know they've done some good work on the scouting side of things, but scouting is different than running a team. So I don't know what those guys can they be respected? Would they hire the right leader? The Lakers need an absentee owner, someone who can hire the right front office person so that they can focus on building this team and get away from seeing those. If you don't want to be seen, just stay away then. Hire the right person, let them get acclimated to the new way of things. The Lakers' way is nice, but the Lakers' way is adapting. You have to adapt to the times. And right now, I don't see any adapting to the times because there's an inability to do that. Rob is not capable of doing his job. He's not good at it. And Jeannie is not a good owner. She might be good at sending out cookies and maybe Christmas cards, maybe Christmas bonuses, but she's not a good owner in evaluating management so that her team can be viable. Instead, she has the glitz of the LA Golden Armor. Yeah, she has LeBron James, but what is the point of having LeBron James if you're a 7th seed? Are you really going to make that much more money? Is it about the money? Okay. If it's about the money, then have the balls to come out and say it. Just saying. Have the nuts to say it. You're broke, right? Jeannie's supposed to be one of the poor owners. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. How are you poor when your team is likely to sell for $10 billion? You have a lot of purchasing power with that kind of asset. Are you able to, you could take out any kind of loan against that. You can sell merchandise in a better way. You can promote LeBron James, promote AD in a better way. There's a lot of ways to make money in this thing. I don't know what they do. I don't know how they do it, but at this point, it's a constant discussion that's going nowhere. That wall behind me, I might as well just talk to that wall. That's the good part. Yeah, there you go. And the one loan she did take out was to fleece small business people, money away from the small business people. There was, for those of you who don't know what that is, the PPP loan was supposed to help small businesses. Businesses pay their employees for the stoppages during the pandemic. And a lot of high-profile people took that loan. Jeannie Buss, until she got called out on it, she returned the money. Reese Witherspoon, that dinbat Kim Kardashian, and that suck-ass sewer of a family. Tom Brady. A lot of people don't know that. Tom Brady. So disappointed in Tom Brady because I'm a big Tom Brady fan. Just absolutely pathetic on his part to actually engage in that. And there were some others, and I'm not going to get into that again. I'm not doing some TMZ garbage there with this stuff. So just understand who you guys are supporting, who we're all supporting. We're supporting someone who does things that we don't support where it matters. So it's very difficult to know that I am supporting her and her team because I love the team, and it's based off of the Jerry West, the Magic Johnsons, the Kobe Bryants, the Shaquille O'Neals, and all those guys. Yet I have to still sit here and give her my eyes and attention when I don't want to. So Gerald, just like I said 40 minutes ago, we knew you were going to come in late, and we've basically discussed Jerry West's career.
I've been listening.
As a coach, as an executive. I believe that he is the greatest executive in sports, in North American sports history.
I just think he's the greatest contributor to the game of basketball outside of James Naismith of all time, in my opinion.
There's an argument there. Obviously, Red Auerbach has an argument there as well.
Well, the only reason why, because I'm just devastated.
And then Michael Jordan has to be in there.
Yeah, that's true.
But I know again, Magic and Bird saved the league.
But with Jerry exceeding at such a high level of both the player and the executive, I think that's what gives him the edge. Jordan has never succeeded. Neither is Magic outside of the game that they played on the court. I think that's where the difference lies.
I'm not incorporating all of it. I guess if you're saying all of it, I don't know anyone that has done everything. I maybe Larry Bird. Larry Bird was the only NBA entity that's won an MVP as a player, as an executive, and as a coach. That's pretty phenomenal in my book. He's won an MVP as a player, he won Coach of the Year, and he won Executive of the Year in his tenure. Larry Bird needs some credit as well. Pretty phenomenal stats there. But Jerry West, the impact, his impact is greater than any person I could think of from all facets of the game.
Cool, bro. I do want to give him some props. I know we're hard on him. I know the actual audience is hard on him as well. Give him some props. He's one of the first to say rest in peace this morning. Sent out letters and thoughts of email. And he did send I guess a mural that was made with Jerry West and Kobe Bryant together, up above and all that. So, yes, absolutely. Fly high, Jerry West and Kobe Bryant. May they both rest in peace. So, yes.
Well, Bill Russell was the first. He was the first and last coach player. There's only really been two that I remember vividly.
Does the CBA still allow for that? That's what I would need.
No, I don't. I don't know if I'm sure they probably could. I don't know, but
LeBron wanted to. He probably could.
It's a different atmosphere these days. There's too many things that a coach has to do that a player can't do. Player can't do the things.
We've lost a lot of great ones. JSJ brought up Elgin Baylor, Bill Russell. I mean, we lost in the past Bill Walton. In the past, 18 months, we've lost a lot of great ones, Joe.
Well, a lot of them were in their late 80s. And I know Bill Walton was in his early 70s, but it's time, Gerald. It's time that we're going to have to start seeing this develop. I know I've seen it happen with just people around me, people that I went to high school with that I wasn't close with, but all of a sudden we find out that they passed away. It's coming to that time where we're going to start seeing more and more of the greats start to go. Bill Russell, Jerry West, Bill Walton. This is within the last year, right?
Yep. I said 18 months, but yeah, it's about that. Bill Russell, like
Elgin
you said.
Baylor.
Yeah. Chet Walker
just died a few days ago. A lot of people don't know who Chet Walker was, but prominent, just, going back to the J.J. Redick thing, the plumber, the guy that played with plumbers, apparently. So just totally disrespectful, by the way, on that. That's still just stupid commentary.
Why pick unnecessary fights? I just don't get why you pick unnecessary fights like that. It just does not seem smart. And if you're wondering why Joe and I are like, the podcaster, big deal. Why should the Lakers? That's right there in a nutshell. And then, of course, on the fact that, whoever the Lakers ultimately hire, their agent's going to be like, hello, you offered Dan Hurley 6 for $70. What about us? The thing is, though, it is not. And again, you guys said during the game and now in the chat, it's a low ball offer for Dan Hurley. There's no way he's going to go for that amount. You have to put something that's going to knock his socks off, that's going to have him move his entire life from one side of the country to another, where he is perfectly content, Joe, and on the verge of getting an $8 to $10 million contract per year himself if he stays. Why would you want to go all the way across unless you're really getting an offer that's going to blow your socks off, Joe. And 6 for 70 is not going to do that. It's a low ball offer. Jovan Buha is talking about through one side of his butt cheeks through that, simply said. Just it's a great offer. Puts them 6 as far as NBA coaches, but it's not the offer that's going to wow you to say, you know what, I got to go ahead and move my family and my entire life across one side of the country to another and away from something I'm the man among gods. The guy could literally just walks on water on the UConn campus, Joe. Why you need an offer that's going to blow him away, and 6 for 70, it's not going to do that.
I don't know if we're going to find out what really happened from beginning to end in this thing, but what's his name? Jovan Buha? What is that?
Jovan Buha, yes, of the.
So it sounds like this guy's starting to take the reins in the Laker network.
Well, he's got his own YouTube show now.
Another YouTube guy, another podcast. That's what we need. Another podcast.
Those guys are phonies.
Okay, so he's likely kissing their ass so that he can stay in with the good graces. The reality is, folks, is that the Lakers have had issues closing in general. This isn't the first time. If this was the first time, we'd be like, man, Lakers screwed this up. Got to figure out what to do next. But this is a continuous issue. Oh, well, Joe, they got LeBron James, and they were able to trade for Anthony Davis. Okay. Who's not here since LeBron came? Magic. Magic was the one that actually closed that. And Pelinka had nothing to do with AD coming. You could have had a broom with a red-headed mop on it playing GM in LA, and Anthony Davis would have been traded to LA. That was a planned move. As soon as LeBron came to LA, everyone knew on their end that the next phase was to go get Anthony Davis. So it's just it's enhanced even more at how bad this is, seeing that the Celtics are about to win their next championship. This is a team that has been ridiculed. I don't know if you were listening to the show before. Ridiculed, insulted, told they were chokers, told that they were garbage, told that they couldn't win it, told that they couldn't do anything. And even now, they were able to make a run because of so many injuries. Okay, well, that's part of the game, isn't it? So they win.
You could only play the card.
They win 64 games, and they're about to at least, I'd say, maybe Dallas wins Game 4, and then they'll wax Dallas at home in Game 5, right? If that should happen, they will have gone 4 series in a row, winning in 5, having a 64 win season. And after all the ridicule, and they're still doing it with, Jason Tatum had 2 bad games, and is he the second best player? Like that's what these slugs, these sewer rats do. That's what they do. They insult after every possession, after every game. And then you have someone that has a good series or a good game or a good week or a good month. And then you have LeBron James creaming in his pants and totally hexed Kyrie Irving, by the way, since that comment. Stop yapping. Shut the F up. You don't see Jason Tatum crying, do you? After all the insults, you don't see Jaylen Brown crying on Twitter and putting stuff on there in code. Brad Stevens, you want to talk about a guy that you don't know what Brad Stevens is doing? He's doing exactly what Rob Pelinka is. The only thing is he works. I don't know what Rob Pelinka does. I don't know if he sits on his ass, if he jogs all day. I don't know what the hell that guy does. We know what Jeannie does. We know what Jeannie does. She's very good at filming herself doing everything other than managing and owning a basketball team. And when we talk about the media and their viciousness, if you're going to be vicious, you got to know the difference between what you're going to say that has some clout, some receipts behind it. Not just to go and criticize someone who had a couple bad shooting games, maybe a bad series, but they continue to keep coming back over and over again. The Pistons didn't win for how long in the 80s? How long did it take the Bulls to win? The Bulls had to lose 3 years in a row to the Pistons until they took them out. The Pistons lost 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87. Finally got to the finals in 88. Without an injured Isaiah, maybe they win that championship and probably three-peat. So this is sports, man. I'm seeing Josh Allen, how much criticism that guy's getting in Buffalo. I'm like, dude, Buffalo was insignificant for 20 years. They were the Patriots' snatch for 20 years. Oh, Josh Allen loses to Patrick Mahomes, and that's supposed to be some bad thing, in epic games. Is it Josh Allen's fault that the defense can't stop in the playoffs up in points with 13 seconds left? Like, is that Josh Allen's fault? Like, you got to watch the games too. Oh, and the funny thing about the whole Jason Tatum is sucking in the first two games, didn't they win? Didn't they win kind of convincingly? Did you really need Jason Tatum to shoot 40 points? Oh, I know why he didn't do that. Because he does other things. Oh, and he's not a sabotager of the team. He let his boy, Jaylen Brown, he let his boy, Drew Holiday, the true team players, allowed his teammates to do what they were doing. Let them roll with what they're rolling with. So you wanna get something, LA? You wanna mimic something that's working? Go watch with Brad Stevens and Coach Mazzulla and how those players conduct themselves. That's a professional team. That's how you conduct yourself. And they're going to win a championship deservingly. They deserve it. Every player, every coach, every executive on that team and that franchise, despite that damn green trash, deserve to win this championship because they've dominated. Remember I told you, when was the last time an East team really dominated all the way through? You're about to just get it. You're about to just get it for the first time that I can remember since the Bulls dynasty.
How many games did they lose in the playoffs? 2?
The Celtics?
Yeah.
They lost 1 in each series. So 3.
Okay. Just checking to see if they were going to tie the
No. I don't think anybody's going to tie 16-1.
Okay.
Not in this era. They probably should have. I think they lost a couple of those game 2s and they shouldn't have. But I think it's hilarious that if not for Pascal Siakam turning into a pumpkin, I think Indiana might have won a championship. If they were able to win some of those, they should have been up 2-1. And it's not one of those things where they were leading with 13 in the second quarter. These guys had the game at the end with like 30 seconds left. All they had to do was just play smart ball. Instead, you have that schmuck dribbling outside. Dude, let the ball go. What are you dribbling it outside? Just complete brain dead plays.
Halliburton made mistakes down the stretch. Yeah, there was Indiana has only themselves to blame.
I mean, these were bad mistakes. These weren't Boston making them make these mistakes. We're talking brain dead mistakes. I would hate to be an Indiana fan right now because they probably would have won a championship if they would have had won those games. I think they might have been the best matchup for the Celtics when you look at the whole run. I mean, probably not. I mean, we can say that about any team that's won a championship in the past. Oh man, if that what was his name? Courtney, the Orlando Magic player in game 2. What was his name? Do you remember 2009 finals? Oh, I totally drew a blank.
From 2009.
Hold on, let me get it. Hold on. 2009 Orlando Magic.
I got it. Hold on.
Roster. Hold on. What was his name?
It was Courtney Lee.
Courtney Lee. So I don't know if you remember this, but the last play of the game in game 2 was an alley-oop out of bounds to Courtney Lee. Courtney Lee missed the alley-oop.
Yep.
And the Lakers had no business winning game 4. All Dwight Howard had to do was hit one free throw, and that series would have been tied.
I remember that definitively.
Just saying. So we can look back on a lot of those type of games.
And then I remember those back-to-back Lamar Odom's threes that just ended that series in Orlando.
Yeah. Lakers owned it in game 1, obviously. Kobe dropped 40 in that game. The game 2 was tight. Game 3.
All right, JSJ, we'll give you credit. Okay. He's like, I said it.
Only lost 2 games in the playoffs. Really? Who did they sweep?
Yeah, they swept Indiana. It was the most competitive sweep over the Lakers.
Oh, they did sweep Indiana.
Yeah, so it's 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I thought Indiana won a game. My mistake.
Thank you, cool bro. Appreciate your thoughts on Jerry West today. So,
yeah, I don't. It's we're at the point of no return. I really don't have. I think we have to get to the next step here, folks. Otherwise, we're just going to keep rehashing the same dialogue.
The draft cannot come soon enough. I can't wait. We're going to do some good things. Alfred Esmond is coming on tomorrow afternoon. He wants to do an afternoon show. So I know that some of you out there have been asking and begging for an afternoon show. I know that our audience is not large enough yet to sustain a regular afternoon show, but we're going to go ahead and throw one for you here with, of course, what I was talking about with Alfred Esmond. Maybe we'll do tomorrow night's show as well, but also this weekend, the Legend 350, who was in our chat. I know he's working on some things scholastically behind the scenes, but he said he's going to free himself up to talk the Atlanta Hawks #1 pick and maybe Lakers trades with Atlanta coming up this weekend as well. So, and of course, the Lakerholics, they're talking about doing a Saturday show as well. So, Joe, we got some stuff. It doesn't have to be always you and I dredging up everything, but can't wait. We're trying some good things. We're even thinking about doing a mock draft here, getting close to the draft. I was now hear me out, Joe. I'm going to say this on the air because I'm trying to cheer myself up as well because it's been a pretty crummy day. It's been an absolutely crummy day. Tried to meander through it. It's 110 here in Vegas. Boston Celtics up 3-0. Jerry West passing away. And Lakers, embarrassed beyond all recognition after another miserable, maneuver with the coach. Trying to cheer myself up though. Thinking about how we can structure this mock draft coming up. I was thinking about obviously you, me, and Stone analyzing all the picks made by our friends that are going to stop by during the show making the picks. How about that?
What else can we do?
But I want you to rip every one of them mercilessly.
Who do you want me to rip?
Every one of them. Or if you want to pick out certain ones, just because, let's say, Magic makes a pick for the Raptors or whatnot, just because it's Magic. I just want you to have some fun with it. How about that?
Okay. Negativity is.
Yeah. And then Stone will give some the inside analysis on stuff like that. So yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. We haven't picked out a day. It's going to be right near the draft, but we are going to go ahead and do a mock draft for you guys out there. So we're looking forward to it. But yeah,
maybe we should talk about why Darren brought up a good point. Maybe we should talk about why the Lakers didn't go after Drew Holiday.
It's a very good point.
The Celtics were just as capped out as we were, right?
But they have more assets. They have more assets. Remember the Porzingis trade got them extra #1s.
There's your answer, Darren.
Remember, the Lakers didn't have much in the way of they're getting more #1s right after the first, correct? I believe they get the 2 extra #1s on top of whatever they could do this year with this pick. But yeah, Boston had more assets as far as tradable assets that they can go ahead and work. And remember, they also had Marcus Smart that they could go ahead and utilize in a trade as well for Porzingis. That to me is a big key. And then Holiday, that was just a smart move. Dumb move by Milwaukee, because Milwaukee thought, oh, well, we got Lillard now. We're going to be right down, breathing down the neck of Boston.
Well, everyone thought that.
Yeah, little
We
did
just
they know.
didn't. We didn't. I don't think anybody thought Damian Lillard would turn into a prissy little girl and
that Portland
whine
would
about being homesick.
Portland would send Drew Holiday right back to the Eastern Conference. That was a very shrewd move by Boston. I mean, I can't stand Boston, hate them with a passion, but you got to admit that's a shrewd move. I mean, like you said, if they didn't wear those green damn jerseys, I mean, they've got some good talent on that team. They've got a coach that plays the three, but Drew Holiday, if you remember in Milwaukee, he's a volume shooter, not a very accurate or volume, but absolutely great on the defensive end. He doesn't need Joe to throw up all the shots that he did when he was in Milwaukee, when it was just basically him and Giannis because, of the injuries on that team by everyone else. Holiday, less is expected on the offensive end, and he's allowed to play a lot more defense. And I think it's just allowed him to be more selective with better shot selection on the offensive end as well.
We discussed that before you came on, that Boston was better able to utilize Drew Holiday, and that's an asset that Boston was able to enhance.
Yeah.
It's not so much that Milwaukee threw Drew Holiday away. I think most teams would pick Dame Lillard over Drew Holiday, especially after the first round exit last year, and just not being able to win with him there. But sometimes a player like Drew Holiday that goes into a team like the Celtics that are close-knit and able to assess talent better in execution mode and position modes, and when to be aggressive, when not to be aggressive with certain players. Mazzulla was able to put Drew in a position that better enhanced his skill set, which is, we need you to hit clutch shots. We don't need you to hit every shot. That's what we have Tatum and Brown for, and White. But what we need that dog. We need that X factor. We need a replacement for Marcus Smart with a little bit more accurate shot. And that's what they got. They essentially traded Marcus Smart, who was a fan favorite, who was an identity to them and their organization, for Porzingis and Drew Holiday in the end. And Porzingis was able to be a part of the process almost all the way through. And Drew Holiday was that piece that covered them in case he wasn't able to go through.
Don't forget, they were able also to offload Robert Williams. I forgot, Time Lord. Yes, Time Lord.
Well, Robert Williams was a walking infirmary. Of course, yes. That was one of
which is even better for the Celtics. Yeah, they were able.
They got rid of a injury-prone player for an injury-prone player, but they managed him as well as they could, and he was able to even in the finals, he was able to contribute in game one. He was off
and that
the charts,
first half of game two.
Off the charts good. It was like a pseudo low-key Willis Reed type performance that is now carrying them to a 3-0 lead that will eventually likely be 4-0 or 4-1 is my prediction.
And it's looking like they're going to get number 18 here, maybe as early as Friday.
I never would have thought that 5 seasons ago. I really didn't. I thought the Celtics would be competing, but I was like, man, we're talking about a 26, 27-year-old AD that just had one of the most devastating defensive performances I've ever seen in a playoff run. Hit a clutch shot that won a game for them. You have LeBron, who looked like prime LeBron. I thought man, we're going to get another title here and we're going to get past these turds. And hopefully, I was hoping we would have saw those guys in the final so we can get one from them as well. Boy, did that change in 5 seasons. It totally flipped.
Yep. And a lot of that has to do with the decision making right at the top, Joe.
Oh, it's probably all of it. And you have to also put some blame on LeBron James.
It's again, I always like to share the blame organizationally, but a heavy dose of it goes to the top.
LeBron James has worn out his welcome in 3 places. Two of those places was the same place. One is the first time with Dan Gilbert. The second one was with Pat Riley, and then the third time again. That's why he was leaving Cleveland. Gilbert, I don't know if Gilbert was sick at that point. I don't know if he had a stroke at that point, but I'm pretty sure that the family also was in on it in terms of not feeling like they got tired of catering to his circle. Now, what LeBron hasn't had to deal with in LA is he's been fully supported by Genie and the team. He's had his butt kissed the entire time there. And he played a big part in enhancing the trade to go get Russell Westbrook. And he's had how many coaches in the short stint? Luke Walton, Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham. He's going to have 4 coaches.
4. Okay.
In his 7th season here.
Thought you were talking about within the past decade, but yeah.
No, I'm talking about just the Lakers. I forget about the past. 4 coaches in 7 years that he'll be here. We're going to have 4 coaches. He's the top player, right? He's the big attraction, right? He's the icon, right? You tell me, how does that look? Forget about the finals losses. Forget about the decision. What does that tell you about that player, that great player, when he can't keep coaches?
It speaks a lot. And again, this is something that maybe Lakers fans might be having to prepare themselves with if we sign him to a 3-year, $160 million extension. I think people need to come to grips with that because, again, I think he holds all the cards in this situation. I'm not happy with it, but it's not the fact that he, whatever person or I understand with you, a lot of it is just his off the court stuff. With me, it's the fact it's not the off-court stuff that's deal. I get tired of it sometimes, the passive aggressiveness, etc. I do get tired of it and fatigue on it. I know Sean Harder was commenting on it as far as in the comments as I was trying to catch up on it yesterday. But to me, it's more about the fact that Father Time is already right on his shoulder. We saw the fact he cannot give you what he needs to give you for 82 games a year on both ends of the court. He just can't do it. And he's already 39. And you're going to give him enough money that's going to really clog up your cap for the years to come. Again, it goes back to the old Kobe on his last contract situation about, great contribution, all-time great players. You give him that contract, but understand it comes with a certain price about how much it takes out of your flexibility going forward. And that's not even counting back then what you have to deal with now, because the rules are even stricter now, Joe, than they were back then in regards to how you can run and make moves for your team if you go over that cap. And the Lakers are about ready to do it. The only saving grace is if the Celtics win, guess what? They're going to have to write out a fat check, an extension for Jason Tatum. And we'll see just how long that this team can stay together because of how expensive the Celtics are going to get.
So Phil Jackson, the great Phil Jackson, the most entertaining coach in NBA history, in my book, had a really nice quote about Jerry here on Spectrum Sportsnet. He said, "It's a sad day in the NBA. Jerry has been a vibrant, dynamic force in the league for as long as he played, as long as he's coached, and been a general manager. Jerry was a promoter of the NBA, great mind and talent. He had a lot of insight into the game. And I don't think he could have explained all that he had done in a lesser amount of words. So I started the show with Jerry West. I'm going to end it with Jerry West. This should be a celebration. I remember Magic saying this after Chick Hearn died in 2002. This is a celebration, folks. It's a sad day, but it's a celebration. Jerry West lived 86 years. He lived with respect, died with respect from everyone around him. Even though the nonsense with the Lakers put a little damper on that, I don't believe in any way that they aren't hurting right now too. Okay, I don't think they're that bad. I just don't think they're very smart, and not their ability to read the room, and they're not very tactful. So it is what it is. But in the end, this is a celebration of life to one of the great pioneers of the NBA, and a gentleman who, in a lot of ways, is the main reason, if you had to pick one, that we were able to watch what we've watched in the last 5 decades of Laker basketball. I don't know if we would be this fortunate and have this much success if Jerry West isn't a part of the Lakers. I don't know if it would have happened. And I'm glad he lived. I'm glad he was a Laker. I'm glad of everything he did, whether he was with the Lakers or not. I think it was just a beautiful thing to see. I just loved hearing him speak. So much history, so much endearing qualities in terms of his dialogue and his perspective. I'd say the most crushing interview he ever did was the day that Kobe died, because much like Doc Rivers, he was the other one where every time his voice cracked, every time a tear came down, it was in line with how my chest was just broken. And I'm hoping that Kobe was there when he got there. I'm hoping Kobe was right there going, welcome home. I'm sure it happened. I'm sure that Kobe was involved. So I'm sure his brother that passed away in Korea was there, obviously. And then, of course, Kobe not too far behind. So it's a celebration. Jerry West, NBA sports, Laker legend, human being legend, in my book. Zeke from Cabin Creek was his nickname. And yeah, it's an end of an era is an understatement. But I want to thank everyone for being here tonight for the early Laker Nightcap. Gerald, thanks for coming in at the last minute here and spitting some dialogue here and there just to kind of put some pizzazz in this a little bit. I always like a secondary person here to kind of shoot some stuff with. But the audience also has been great. Thank you for all your great questions, folks. If you guys want to get in contact with us, please email us at LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. If you want to reach me, you can reach me on X with Joe Soro LFB. If you want to reach me on Instagram, I'm on Sinblades_turf. And of course, Facebook, I'm known as Johnny Blade with the Punisher logo. We will likely have shows here the next few days. I will be likely involved in some way. More than likely, the later it is, the more I'll probably be doing what I'm doing right now with Gerald or Sean. I know Sean said he's going to be back tomorrow night from his schedule, opening up a little bit. And just try to brace ourselves for the inevitable here, folks. I think we're going to have to go into this next weekend understanding that the Lakers are likely going to probably have a few more names that they're probably going to go after here, whether it's rehashed names or not. And then we're going to have to probably have a show about the finals ending. Maybe there is a miracle. Maybe the first time ever a team can come back from 3-0. It's not likely, but boy, that would be a hilarious sequence if it did happen. But until then, Everyone have a great evening, great morning, great night, depending on where you are. Again, you all know where to reach us. Until next time, we'll see you next time.